Welcome to the 248th year of town meetings for the town of New London. This is not the 248th town meeting, because sometimes they had special meetings, and I think the town archivist is still trying to figure out what number this might be, but we know that's the 248th year, so we'll start with that. We will begin with the recognition of our veterans. So at this point, I would ask if there are veterans present, please stand and be recognized. Thank you very much. And now we have a collection of elementary students at the front of the hall. And they, led by Mrs. Densmore, are going to lead us in a participatory recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Star-Spangled Banner. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I want to thank the Public Works crew and Amanda Spears and her Hogan crew for setting up this hall for tonight's meeting. And you will probably notice someone new seated to my right. I want to introduce you to Katie Cox Pelletier, Esquire, from the firm of Upton and Hatfield. She's town council, and her job tonight is to listen to the proceedings and kick me if I make a mistake. Thank you for being here. Please note that this year's town report, for those of you who brought yours with you, is dedicated to 6 citizens, residents of the town of New London, longtime residents, whose names you'll find opposite page 2. I would like to ask for a moment of silence in recognition of their service to the town they loved. Thank you. I knew them all. And I have one little story I'll tell you quickly about Dan Allen. I went to his celebration of his life service and learned this great anecdote from Dan. It's just, to me, he's quintessential Dan Allen. He was an avid cross-country skier, but he didn't like downhill skiers that much. So after one heavy snowstorm, one Saturday morning, he was shoveling out his driveway, and this car pulled up with ski racks on it, headed toward Mount Sunapee, and they were obviously lost. And they said to Dan, "Do you know which way it is to Mount Sunapee?" And at that moment, 2 cars went by with skis on the roof racks. Dan, with his shovel in hand, barely looked up and said, "Follow those damn fools." That's Dan. I loved him. He was a great guy. Okay. At this point in time, I want to recognize Bibi Casey, one of our selectmen. She's going to recognize certain volunteers of the town. Baby.
Okay. Before we begin this evening's town meeting, I'd like to take a few moments to recognize some of the people who make this community work as well as it does. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the many volunteers who serve the town of New London. We have over 100 residents who give their time on boards, committees, and as ballot clerks throughout the year. Your willingness to step up and serve is what keeps our town running. If you are one of those volunteers, I'd ask you to please stand so we can recognize and thank you. I know there's a few of you. Thank you. We truly appreciate your time, your commitment, and your service to the community. I'd also like to recognize two individuals who have recently completed many years of service. Lindsay Lund has served 13 years on the Budget Committee, and Joe Cubitt served 9 years as a trustee of the trust funds. Both have contributed greatly to the town, and we thank them for their dedication and service.
Thank you, Bibi. At this point in time, I want to call forth Stephen Ensign, Chair of the Board of Fire Wards, for a presentation. Steve, would you come right down here? You can turn in the microphone and face the crowd if you'd like.
So this is something of a bittersweet moment for me. We're about to honor our retiring fire chief. And there's at the back of the last row, there is a framed proclamation, which I will abbreviate. The Reader's Digest version for those of us who remember Reader Digest condensed versions. And if you don't, ask your parents. But it goes beyond Jay's service to the town. I've had the opportunity to serve as the Board of Fire Wards chair, to work closely with Jay over the years, but to also remember the young man that grew up in this area and was in school with my oldest son, Eric. And so I know how old Jay is. And to have an individual grow up here and dedicate themselves to service to the town, I think is worth a particular note, and particularly a note of thanks. If you have your town report with you, or you've looked at it, immediately after the financial section and before all the reports, there's a page that the selectmen have prepared and dedicated to Jay's service. The proclamation at the back of the room. Now I will comment, Jay, I was with him the other day, and he brought out a picture that he had come upon as he'd been cleaning out his office. And there were two things to note in that picture at the time that he was sworn in as fire chief. He first noted that at that time he had hair, and mine was a much different color at that time. So the proclamation edited for this moment goes like this. It's a bunch of, if you read it back there, it's whereas this, whereas that, as proclamations normally are. But this one starts, whereas Jason B. Lyon is retiring on March 31st, 2026 as the fire chief for the town of New London, and has served in that position for the last 18 years. The chief joined the New London Fire Department as a regular volunteer member in 1991 and became the first full-time firefighter that the town of New London ever had in the year 1999. Further on from that, in 2007, he became the first full-time fire chief. Chief Lyon's leadership, professionalism, high standards helped him to develop and nurture a department to which we all should be very, very proud. Growth-oriented, community-oriented individual. His dedication to duty made him one of the most respected fire chiefs in the state of New Hampshire. The chief has served as an example of personal integrity and commitment to all of those that he has worked with and worked for over the years. The citation proclamation ends with, "Now therefore, be it resolved that the New London Board of Selectmen and the Board of Fire Wards wish to express their deepest appreciation to Chief Lyon for his years of service to the town of New London, and hereby proclaim that March 31st, his last day as fire chief, be noted as Jason Lyon Day." So Jason, if you'd come forward and be recognized.
No
Mr.
speeches.
Moderator, okay not to face you?
No speeches.
Very grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you for the applause. Michael says no speeches because he probably has a plethora of other stories about quotes or whatever, famous people, Paul Henry, Franklin Roosevelt, or John F. Kennedy. Maybe even we'll throw in a Bob Ross quote in here and there. But I'm very grateful for the recognition. And honestly, it's embarrassing. Like, none of us want to be recognized in the fire service. It's just the job we do. This community is great. I love the town. I love the department. And thank you for everyone's support. But it's really not me being successful. It's really the individuals that have served in the past, the firefighters, past and present, and the future firefighters. And honestly, we are a collaborative team, and I'm not getting choked up. But we are a team, and certainly the floor of town meeting. You vote upon giving us the tools in order to provide the services that we give you. But it's really the firefighters that have been instrumental in my success. It's not just leadership, it's also camaraderie and a team that makes things who the New London Fire Department is, not only the town of New London, but all the contiguous towns around us that support us. And so certainly I'm grateful for the kind words by our chair or chief fire ward, Steve Ensign, and I'm grateful for the individuals in the past fire wards, the fire chiefs, town officials, state and local, as well as this crew. So the only thing I would say is, if you are a New London firefighter, DPW, dispatcher, EMT, police officer, Police officers are already standing because that's what they do in the back. But if you could just stand up and get a round of applause, because without these individuals, this is what the backbone of New London is, are these individuals. So. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
You're very welcome. Now, the Water System Precinct was supposed to have their meeting last night, but there was a little glitch in a notice, and they were not able to have that meeting. And they wanted to make a presentation at that meeting. So I invited Rip to come to this meeting to make that same presentation. So Rip, if you want to come up and just say quickly the primary reason for that, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm here to recognize the efforts of John McKenna and his 18 years of service to the Water Precinct. John has been a very instrumental voice in all of our meetings and the activities, and we just wanted to recognize him. John, are you here tonight? Okay, well, we have a presentation for him, which we'll get him soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rip. Okay, at this point, we have, for tonight's meeting, we have the center microphone for those of you that wish to be heard, and we also have 2 roving microphones. Vicki has one, and Linda has the other one. Linda, where are you? Right there. I call this meeting to order. We are reconvening the meeting that began on March 10th with the elections for the purposes of addressing Article 1, which is the election of officers and certain zoning amendments. This meeting right here is in fact a legislative session. Each of us tonight are legislators. All of us are legislators. We all have one vote. No one has any more votes than anyone else. Everyone in this room has one vote if you have one of these cards. And you should have gotten one of these cards when you checked in. Because it's a legislative proceeding, we can impose reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions on First Amendment speech. In other words, we need to confine ourselves to those articles listed in the warrant. The warrant articles are the business of this meeting and the business of the town, and the town needs your vote to proceed on its business, which has been carefully articulated in these 30-odd articles. We will lead you through them one at a time. Now's the time to get your questions answered. Now's the time to speak pro or con. If there are multiple speakers speaking in favor of an article, in the interest of time, I would ask the successive speakers, if you agree with the previous speaker, just say, I agree with Mr. Jones, or I agree with Mr. Smith, rather than completely repeating whatever it was that they said. So when we call these articles and put them on the floor, if you want to be heard, you should come to the center microphone and queue up. And I will not entertain a motion to limit debate until everyone standing at that microphone has had an opportunity to speak the first time. So if you come and stand up to the microphone, then we know how many people wish to speak, and we know that we cannot entertain a motion to cut off debate until it's timed properly. Coming to the microphone at the center of the floor helps me to know when it's the proper time. If you have a written amendment, if you have amendments to an article, we would prefer to have that in writing if you can. It makes it easier for us. That way we won't misstate it when we cast the vote. So there's paper and available at the back where you checked in to write down your amendment. Your orange voter card is to be raised when counted. And as an additional note, Articles 3, 4, and 5 of the warrant, those are the first 3 that we're going to deal with after we read the results of the election, are going to be paper ballot votes. The first one is a bond. And the ballot boxes must be open for a period of 1 hour from the time we cast the vote, from the time the discussion is over until we cast the vote, begin to cast votes. The boxes have to be open for 1 hour. There's one box here, there's one back there, and there's one back there. You can come to any of those 3 to deposit your ballot when the time comes. The other 2 articles will be done by secret ballot as well, but they will be done by the shoebox method, which means you stay in your chairs, you mark your ballots, And there will be a shoebox that gets passed among you, and you drop your ballot in the shoebox. And that will be attended to by our election volunteers. So I will call and announce which of these ballots will be used for each article. Take special care to make sure you use the right color ballot, because if the wrong color ballot is in the box, it will not be counted. You have to be consistent with that. Mark your ballot clearly, circling your yes or your no. Please do not tear the ballot in half. Put the whole ballot marked into the ballot box. And I guess I have to also say this, that you can't put your neighbor's ballot in the box for them. Each person must deposit their own ballot in the box. Okay, yeah, there is one thing. Remember that we can raise the appropriation or reduce it for any article in the warrant, except, and remember that if we decide we want to spend more money, we're limited. Because we're a budget committee town, we can only raise the total appropriation by 10% of the bottom line. And if you happen to have your town reports in front of you, that computation of how much we can increase it has already been made. You will find it on line 8, page F14. That computation has already been made. And for number articles where there's amounts, remember that we're voting on the FY 2027 column, the column in bold. Those are the numbers you'll be voting on. And the legislature now requires, it required this last year too, as a reminder, that Will, our clerk, has to record who makes a motion and who seconds it. And you will see, if you go to your town reports, page 85, for example, is last year's warrant. You'll see that that notation for each article has been made, who made the motion and who made the second. So we may have to ask you if we're not sure who made the motion and who made the second, just so he can be sure he gets a record of it. And if you do, for any reason, have to leave or choose to leave the meeting early, please surrender your orange card and your unused paper ballots to the supervisor's table in the rear. Okay, so now I want to read the results of the election. And I got to take it off. I got to take it out of here because I can't read it. 464 votes were cast in the elections. Board of Selectmen. Say what? 1453? 1453 ballots, 1,453 ballots. Okay, I learned how to read this because it's different from what we had before. Okay, so for Selectmen, we had Beebe, 625 votes. Other write-ins, 18. For Town Moderator, Virginia O'Brien Irwin, 312. Me, 378, with 2 write-ins. Supervisors of the checklist, Carolyn Fraley, 603, write-ins, 2. Trustees of trust funds, Lori Shive, 441, Kevin Sullivan, 195, and 1 write-in. Budget Committee, Charles Kelsey, 566, Chris Lorio, 553, John Ziegler, 527, and 9 write-ins. Cemetery Commissioner Marion Chadwick Hafner, 669, and 3 write-ins. Tracy Library Trustee, Donald Dogan, 246, Joanne Palmisano, 511, Stephen Solomon, 394. And it would be the 2 highest in that race, 2 write-ins. School District Moderator, Derek Lick, 626, 2 write-ins. And as an aside, for those of you that may not know, Derek Lick happens to be the president of the New Hampshire Bar Association. And he just sent around a survey for all of the bar members in New Hampshire to complete, which asked them to detail what they're doing for public service, such as this, or such as the school moderator. So it'll be interesting to see how many of our bar colleagues are serving their community in some fashion. School board member David R. Keith, Jr., 610, 6 write-ins. Municipal Budget Committee for Kearsarge, Richard G. Anderson, 600, 14 write-ins. Now, the Planning Board proposed amendment number 1 for the town of New London. Yes, 546, no, 143. Amendment number 2, yes, 553, no, 150. Planning Board Amendment 3, yes, 523, no, 179. Amendment 4, yes, 565, no, 131. Kearsarge Regional School District had several questions on the ballot. The first question, option A, 479B, 185. Question 2, yes, 599, no, 110. Question 3, yes, 605, no, 104. Question 4, yes, 608, no, 96. And question 5, option A, 390. Option B, 222. Option C, 96. There is a page of write-in results. And the Secretary of State's office points out to us that we must be very careful to tabulate all of the write-in votes, because certain individuals like to put other folks on the write-in results, and then when they don't hear those results read, they claim the election was fraudulent because their ballot wasn't counted. I'm going to make this available up at the back table if anyone wants to see the results of the write-in votes, but I don't want to take the time to read them here. Does anyone have an objection to that? Seeing and hearing none, it is well. Okay, at this point in the proceedings, I will entertain a motion to waive the reading of the warrant articles in their entirety and refer to them by number. Do I have a motion? So moved and seconded on, right. To any discussion on that? It is just for efficiency of time. All right, are you ready for the vote? All those in favor of waiving the reading of the articles in their entirety signify by raising their orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. We will waive the reading of the articles. And I will point this out, and then we're going to launch right into Article 3. For those of you that are using your town reports, there's a bit of a typo in there, if you happen to notice. If you go to Article 23, you'll see in bold at the top of the text, it says Article 23. You turn the page, and there's a paragraph, but there's nothing at the top. And the paragraph below that says Article 25. So there was a header that got dropped. So please make a note in your town reports that that is in fact Article 24. The text of the article is correct, it's just missing the header. So if we're going to refer to the articles by number, I just want to make sure you had all the numbers properly written. Okay, Article 3, what is your pleasure? Who moved it? Somebody move it to the floor? John, thank you. When you have a second in the back, yes. The chair will recognize B.B. Casey for the purposes of this article.
The Board of Selectmen supports this warrant article, which authorizes the town to obtain a $100,000 Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services to prepare a watershed management plan for Pleasant Lake. This plan will help identify practical steps to reduce stormwater runoff and nutrient loading that can contribute to harmful algae and cyanobacteria blooms. Protecting Pleasant Lake is important to the environmental health of our community and to our local economy, as our lakes are one of New London's most valued natural resources. Once the watershed management plan is completed and approved by DES, the full principal of the loan will be forgiven. In addition, the Pleasant Lake Protective Association has agreed to reimburse the town for all interest costs through an escrow arrangement. That means this allows us to develop a professional plan to protect Pleasant Lake without adding any cost to New London taxpayers, while taking advantage of a state program designed specifically to help communities protect their water resources. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Bibi. Does anyone have any questions or wish to be heard on this article? Dr. Doug Baxter, just take the mic, Doug, and turn it around so that actually what I'd like to have happen is if that microphone stand kind of went halfway down the floor would be great, if you can do that. If not, you can speak from where you are, but
I'll
yes.
speak from this point and then I'll move it. How's that?
Thank you. Chair recognizes Doug Baxter.
Doug Baxter, I'm president of Pleasant Lake Protective Association. I really feel like I should be looking at the people here.
Yeah, well, but unfortunately, you got to talk to me. That's why if it's down there, it's a little easier, but I get it. Yeah, thank you.
I didn't want to repeat everything Bibi said, but I just wanted to reinforce the fact that this has absolutely zero impact on the taxpayers, and Pleasant Lake Protective Association will be responsible for any interest. And there's also an indemnity agreement. If for any reason the plan is not completed, we will be responsible for the $100,000. It took all of us who are even close to this to try to understand why the town has to be involved at this level, but it is what the state requires, and they are basically serving as an administrative flow-through for the funds. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Does anyone else have any questions about Article 3 or wish to be heard on the article, for or against? Are you ready for the question? Okay. This is going to be a paper ballot vote. And I think that this year's ticket book, the very top ticket, letter A, is an off-white colored ticket. We will use that ballot for this bond issue vote. Take a moment, mark your ballots with your preference, and then proceed to the closest ballot box to you. Like I said, this one here in front, and then there's two others attended by our election folks. They'll be watching to make sure the right color ballot goes in. And just, we will be in brief recess until this voting is pretty much completed, and then we can go to Article 4. Thank you. No. Okay, we are ready to proceed with Article 4. What is your pleasure? I heard a so moved. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded, we bring Article 4 to the floor. Chair, whoop. Who moved it? I need to know who moved the article to the floor for the clerk. Way at the back, way in the back. Yeah, there you go. Somebody, one of our election. Amy, was Amy? Yeah. Louder, Amy. Come on, we got to hear you up here. Okay. Chair recognizes Jana Kidder.
This article would ban Keno games from being played within the town at qualifying businesses. If the town wishes to reinstate Keno in the future, it can be done via warrant article. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Janet. Are there other folks who have questions or wish to speak to this article in any manner for or against? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? Okay, this will also be a paper ballot vote. And if you have your deck of paper ballots, this would be we would use the pale blue ballot labeled letter B. Now, while you're marking your ballots, I'm going to summon the ballot clerks with the shoe boxes. And you will be able to conduct this vote from your seats. You won't have to get up. There'll be ballot clerks ready to hand you a shoebox with a slot in it for you to drop the ballot in and hand it to the next voter in line. I see a woman with her hand up. You have a question? Wait, behind you is coming Linda.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I understand that I'm voting.
That's quite all right.
What I'm voting for. So yes means I'm in favor of this.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes means you're in favor of the article as written. No means you are opposed to the article as written. Okay, are our ballot clerks with the shoe boxes ready to go? Okay. You may wait on our voters. Just hand them the shoebox and then keep your eye on it, and they will hand it where it needs to go. Let them drop their ballots in it and hand it on. So just take those shoeboxes and place them in the enclosed area and get the second set of shoeboxes because we're going to need them for Article 5. So we have another empty set of shoeboxes all ready to go, and then we can count the ballots. Those are all to be counted in a secure area, so the ballots won't be segregated. Will be segregated, not commingled. Okay. While they're getting ready to do that, Article 5, what's your pleasure? And a second? Second. So moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
This vote would ban all games of chance like raffles, lotteries, or other gambling-type games within the town. This does not include raffles conducted by the Elkins Fish and Game or at hospital days. They are governed separately. And also, to be clear, it would not ban things like Mega Millions or Powerball or those types of lotteries. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Rich. Anyone else have anything to say about Article 5, for or against, or have any questions thereon? Okay, hearing none, seeing none. Are you ready for the oops, okay, thank you.
Woody Kennedy. Neither for nor against, but clarification. I'm used to raffles being a fundraising vehicle for Boy Scouts or whatever it might be, so it's not just hospital days, it could be others. Is it meant to ban that kind of thing? Because it's not, the language you gave was specific to the hospital days and something else, but it wasn't more open-ended for informal use of raffles and so forth.
It's okay, yeah. It's not banning those.
Thank you.
I don't know, in your own house, can you have a operation of chance? An operator? What does it take to be an operator?
You mean if you had a party in your house, Nick?
Yes!
Ah, I get it. Okay, I don't know the answer to that. Rich?
I don't either.
If you had one in your house,
If it's a private affair and no, it's informal gambling, I guess is what it is. I'm not sure what the threat is to the community. Is there a threat about this or what?
I'll defer to town council to answer that one.
She is looking up the question. Yeah, we can take the next question.
So, since you only named two, I assume, charitable organizations, would all others need permission from the selectmen if they wanted to hold a raffle or a bingo or whatever? Would that then come before the board for permission?
Yeah, it does. Yes, yes, it does.
Okay, thank you.
The answer is yes. Sorry, Biddy, you got to identify yourself. Not everybody knows you yet. Thank you.
So you're saying that all of these organizations would need to get specific permission to hold a raffle?
Well, if they wanted to hold the raffle on town property, they would. But I know in the past, the high school has done numerous raffles, and they'll ask you to buy a raffle ticket at various locations. And
Well,
of
sure.
course,
If those happen to be in Sutton, great. If it happens to be
exactly.
in,
So, I mean,
but
it's a
this is
common
specific
sense
to
issue.
this.
Right. It's not prohibiting raffles from.
but it's
private
an extra level.
It's an extra layer. If they want to have a raffle on town property.
It sounds like this, I'm a little confused with Janet, with your answer that you would be restricted on town property. If, say, for example, the Historical Society wanted to do a fundraiser and they did a casino night, would that be something they'd be permitted to do at the Historical Society?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't think they would need any permission from us because it doesn't involve town property.
Okay, I'm a little confused because it doesn't seem the warrant specifically restricts to town property.
Okay. Can we just pause? Okay, let's pause because our attorney is here and she's going to be able to answer these questions.
This is a result of a new state law that just passed, that we had our own policy before, which worked just fine, and now, as a result of a new state law, that we have to put this into place. But more explanation from the town council is coming.
And I think, one thing you can always do is look at the New Hampshire Lottery website, because a lot of those questions can be answered by them. And they must know what the legislature had in mind when they passed these laws. So it's hard for us to figure out what they were thinking.
Could you explain what that law currently imposes on us?
I don't know.
I just need them.
Understanding that town council to my right is busily researching the questions as they're coming thick and fast. So if you just bear with us for a minute, we will have some further explanation in short order. So please be patient. And Joe, you want to ask yours or you want to wait?
I think at this point, this came up at a selectmen's meeting. Town council may give us some other insight. Maybe they have it already. It's already been raised. I mean, about a cow flop party, March Madness raffles, things like that. The way this is written, it doesn't say town property. I just think it's a poorly written article on the warrant, and for that reason, I'm voting against it, and I would suggest we might want to do that. It just, for every organization to have to come into the selectmen, I think would be cumbersome.
Thank you.
Okay, so
If you wish to speak?
Yes, hello. How close do I have to get? Hi, I agree with the last speaker, and I wonder what the effect of that would be. If we voted no because of the way this is written, would there be an effect under the state law that was just raised?
I'm sorry, I need your name, ma'am.
It's Alice Ranson.
Thank you. So the question is, as I understand it, your question is, what if we vote no, are we going to be in violation of the state law? That essentially your issue? This article is somewhat impacted by the present statutes and the definitions of gambling and games of chance in the statutes is anything but simple. So we as voters, and we're all voters, we all have ballots, must take this article on its face without reading too much into it, or we're going to be here going down rabbit holes. We're going to be here all night. On its face, the statute says, does town wish to prohibit games of chance within the town? If you want to prohibit games of chance, you vote yes. If you don't want to prohibit games of chance, you vote no. That's how I read it. Further comments?
Can the article be amended to read on town property instead of within the town?
You hold that question for just a moment, and Bibi has a handout from the New Hampshire Municipal Association, which was provided to us, which she would like to read in the hope that it might clarify at this point and maybe others. So just bear with me. If it doesn't, we'll come back. So go ahead, Bibi. Why don't you read that?
Okay. The new statute, HB 737, establishes a new law, RSA 287 D32(8), allowing municipalities to opt out of allowing games of chance and a voting procedure for such through RSA 39:3. This means municipalities can vote to prohibit games of chance and establish a local prohibition on operator licenses from being issued within the municipality's boundaries by the Lottery Commission. However, existing games of chance licensed by the Lottery Commission are exempt from any vote to prohibit games of chance. If a town does vote to ban games of chance, it can then vote by local ordinance to limit the number of charitable gaming events and regulate how charitable organizations register for a gaming event. This new law is effective July 1, 2025. So we can have a local ordinance for charitable organizations to be able to run games of chance. Do I have that right?
Yep.
And you
also can't change the language of the ballot. It's in the statute. Shall we prohibit the operation of games?
The language of the article is prescribed by statute. We cannot change the language. We cannot amend what is before you on Article 5. We are stuck with it. And we do not at the present time have an ordinance, do we? We can adopt
I
one.
believe we did, but it's gone because of this.
It's abrogated by statute.
Exactly.
Understood.
Yeah.
Okay. So this,
Here, one more thing.
yes?
This is the handout. We were supposed to have somebody from the State Lottery Commission come to our selectmen's meeting when we had the public hearing about this warrant article, and the person didn't show up, but they sent this flyer. What are games of chance? Games of chance include your typical casino games, poker, roulette, blackjack, craps, etc. A license is required to operate these games, and operators must partner with up to 2 licensed charities. These charities share 35% of revenue generated on their assigned game date. Certain operators may also offer historic horse racing and video lottery terminals regulated differently.
But this prohibition does not affect private
Right.
gambling in your homes with your guests. It does not prohibit that. Not according to the Lottery Commission. Carolyn, did you wish to speak?
Yes, my name's Carolyn Reno, and when I first read this, I thought of bingo. The Council on Aging has a bingo game. On Monday, you pay $5 and you could win nothing, or you could win $15. But even that, it sounds as though it would prohibit that because it is a game of chance. So it sounds like the language needs to be changed in this proposal, whether it be next year or whatever.
Well, for the purposes of tonight, we are limited to the language of Article 5 as it appears in the warrant. We cannot amend it. It's prescribed by statute. We're stuck with it.
Okay.
And if in fact we can't explain it particularly well, that's in part because of the handouts we were provided in preparation for the meeting.
Thank you.
Pretty hard to understand the state's position if they don't come and explain it. Okay, there are locations in the state of New Hampshire where licensed games of chance are allowed. Hampton, Salem, Nashua, Belmont, Rochester, Conway, Dover, Keene, Lebanon, Manchester, and Seabrook. New London is not one of those places. They are permitted in over 234 municipalities in New Hampshire.
Because of the new law, every town in New Hampshire can now permit a licensed entity to offer games of chance. Currently, so when the law, before the law was passed, there were approximately 11 towns that did have these licensed games of chance facilities. Hampton, Salem, Nashua, Belmont, Rochester, Conway, Dover, Keene, Lebanon, Manchester, and Seabrook. We were not on that list. Now, one of these entities, if this does not pass, one of these entities would be able to come in and...
Right, so by voting yes, we're opting out of becoming like one of these other communities where you could have licensed games of chance.
Casinos.
So if you don't want licensed games of chance to be conducted in New London, you would vote yes, which is effectively opting out of this new statute that says everybody can have licensed gaming, unless you opt out.
What we heard from the Lottery Commission is that they're not going to go after bingo house parties or something similar. They're going to use this for big casinos.
Okay, according to Town Council, we've heard from the Lottery Commission. She has a representative on the phone here, or she's determined that the Lottery Commission is not out for bingo games. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about other, more organized, licensed gambling, such as you might see in those municipalities that we listed, the 11. So what the statute is giving you an opportunity to do is opt out and say, no, we don't want licensed gaming in New London. So if you vote yes, we're opting out. We don't want licensed games of chance in New London. If you vote no, then we're saying, well, yeah, we can have licensed games of chance in New London and bring on the licensees. Are we clear on what it is we're about to vote on? Do we have more questions? If so, now's the time to ask them.
My name is Brent Scudder. I am a member of a square dance club that have had dances at Whipple Hall, and we're a nonprofit organization. We do not donate to charity, but we do have a split the pot contest to raise money for the organization, which is, as I say, nonprofit. Is this amendment article going to affect that?
The council informs me that they attend town meetings all over the state, and they attended one in which it was reported that the Lottery Commission really isn't interested in going after the raffles at local square dances. That's not what they're interested in regulating. Now, it's not specifically excluded from the definition in the statute, but the commission has stated that it's not their intent to go after these kinds of local dance raffles or bingo. I hope that's helpful. Karen.
I hope I'm being helpful. One never knows. Basically, I would say the Keno provision that we just voted on, and this one, is an attempt at the state level to open up more gambling options to raise more revenue, because much of the revenue raised from these options goes ultimately to the state. So I have the statute right here, if it helps anyone, and it is a bill that was recently adopted. It says, the Lottery Commission shall not grant a game operator employer license to operate games of chance in a municipality if that municipality has voted to prohibit games of chance to be held within its boundaries, and if there's a pending question on the municipality's warrant or the official ballot for the next municipal election. The statute also says, in municipalities where games of chance are not currently in operation, the wording of the question shall be substantially as follows. Shall we prohibit the operation of games of chance within the town or city? So as these folks have noted, it says right in this law that the provision has to be voted that way. I can tell you, and I'm looking at Representative Greg Sargent over there, the discussion was all about very high-level casinos that have to be licensed by the Lottery Commission already, and these people are trying to really open up the option to do that in more towns. So I don't know if that helps or not, but that's what the discussion was at the House level.
Thank you, Karen. Further questions? Please identify yourself.
Hi, Marcy Viersen. Sorry. It sounds like Article 4 was what Bibi was responding to, that we don't want licensed casinos and stuff like that in town, but the Article 5 is that we don't want to prohibit raffles for schools, businesses, organizations, no matter where they are. It hasn't been a problem. It's not something we need to fix, so I'm voting no. Is that what am I misunderstanding that?
Go ahead.
You usually see in bars and restaurants. This games of chance are casinos. So what Karen just described, if we vote no on this, New London doesn't ban games of chance, then the casino up in Lebanon can go file an application with the Lottery Commission to open an operation in New London, and we don't have any power with that. So if we're banning, then we say no casino. We don't want a licensed games of chance operation, AKA a casino.
The writing of this is really confusing.
But as Karen just read to you all, It's statutorily stated, this is what the warrant article needs to say.
The legislature has told us what we can put in the warrant. We can't change it. We couldn't change it for Article 4. We can't change it for Article 5.
Is that any potential problem for any sort of raffles that could happen?
No.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yep. Thanks, Marcy.
Bill Hick again, following up on my question.
Please tell me that question again.
It was, if a charitable organization such as a historical society or the Rotary Club wanted to do a casino night at Colby-Sawyer or at the Historical Society as a fundraiser, is that permitted if this passes?
Yes, that is
The
fine.
answer is yes. You may operate that if the charity is not seeking a license to operate said games of chance elsewhere.
Thank you.
It's trying to limit the commercial licensees, but not restrict the local charities and the square dances and the bingo halls. The local charities wanting to raise money that way are not affected.
Thank you. I'm going to take
That's the best explanation that we can give at this point.
It's on the record, so that's good enough for me.
Biddy.
Thank you, Biddy Irwin. So the vagaries of this article has certainly confused most of us here. Mrs. Kidder said that if it was on town property, then it couldn't happen. It has nothing to do with town property.
No.
If somebody's going to come in and put in a casino, they're going to have private land, correct?
Exactly.
The town's not going to, well, we could, I suppose, open a casino. So is there a time limit for the adoption of this? And I'm asking because would it be appropriate, Mr. Moderator, to pass over this article?
According to the state law, goes into effect July 1st.
Okay, so if we don't do it at this town meeting, we take a risk from July 2nd to next March.
Correct.
Thank you.
John Tilley. As I listen to the RSA, I have to admit that this is poorly written, but the RSA, the law that was passed by the legislature, is very specific. And what we're really voting on is, do you want to have licensed casinos in this town? That's the question on the table. I realize that's not what's written, but that's the question. I would encourage everyone to vote yes.
The question's been moved, but I see one more individual who I don't believe has spoken approaching the microphone. Did you wish to address the assembly regarding Article 5? Yes. Well, step to the microphone, identify yourself, please, and then we will move the question.
Hi, my name is Ben Wallace from Elkins, and I have a question for the town attorney. And we're being told that the warrant article cannot be amended. So I'll just generally observe that that strikes me as undemocratic. So I turned to AI and asked, can you amend a warrant article that must substantially comply with the legislation? And AI thinks that yes, a warrant can generally be amended if it substantially complies with legislative requirements, which actually makes a lot more sense democratically. And so the question is really, is AI correct here? Because I can't see any reason that we would be unable, if it substantially complies with the legislation, we could say, and this does not apply to bingo games. I don't see any reason we couldn't make those amendments and write the statute the way that the town wants the statute to be written.
The language in the statute uses the word shall state what Article 5 states. In other words, what we are allowed to put in the warrant, that's prescribed by statute. It doesn't say may, it says shall.
And so if you shall do something, you shall do it. That doesn't prohibit you from doing something else, which is like, this
If
does not
we
apply to bingo.
amend the statute, as you're suggesting, we could invalidate the warrant article in the eyes of the courts.
I will defer to the attorney. It strikes me as odd. Thank you.
Well, there's a risk. Carolyn.
Carolyn Rayno. Just wanted to clarify the way John Tilley, no offense, John Tilley, but the way you put it, it was like, do we want to allow these kinds of lotteries? And so if we vote yes, it's actually the opposite. Do we want to prohibit these? So that's
Well, the way they've described it is, remember what was spoken, it's on the record, that the idea of the statute of the legislature was to open up the whole state, every municipality in it, to licensed gaming.
Excuse me.
And
I was
so-
just trying to clarify what John had said. The way it came out, it sounded like he was saying, do we want this? And then vote yes, but it's the opposite.
I'm trying to explain that.
Do we want to prohibit it?
Understand.
Okay.
If you're voting yes, you're opting out of the statutory scheme to allow gaming everywhere.
Okay.
You're saying we in New London are opting out. We don't want licensed games of chance in New London. Leave them elsewhere in the state. That's what we're voting on.
If we vote yes.
So you are right. A yes vote means no, we don't want it. We're opting out.
Thank you.
Does that have moved? What am I hearing? Move the question? Okay. The question has been called for. This will be a paper ballot. If you go to the next ballot on your deck, it should be the pink one, letter C. Indicate your preference on the ballot, fold it in half or not, and our ballot clerks will wait upon us with the shoeboxes. And when they've finished, I will announce the vote for Article 4. There's still 18 minutes left for the ballot boxes on the warrant Article 3 to remain open. So if you haven't had a chance to vote for the bond issue, Article 3, you still have 18 minutes to approach any of the 3 ballot boxes and deposit your ballot. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to read you the results of Article 4, the paper ballot vote on Keno. Yes, 236, no, 26. Recall that we have voted to prohibit Keno games in the town of New London by a vote of 236 to 26. No Keno. Article 6, what's your pleasure? Moved and second. The chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
Okay, first off, I just want to, as we begin to move into the details of the town budget, I encourage residents to ask questions, as you just did in the last article, and participate in the discussion. At the same time, I ask that we do so in a way that is respectful and kind to our neighbors. You will see increases in several department budgets related to salaries and benefits. The selectmen included a 3% cost of living adjustment for all employees and funded the town's step increase plan for eligible staff. The step plan allows for up to a 2.5% increase based on performance and with department head approval, and the budget reflects funding for that plan. Health insurance costs increased by 16.7%, and overall employer contributions to the New Hampshire retirement system also increased. These changes are reflected in the department budgets as we go through them, section by section. If there are questions on specific line items within the section, we're happy to address them as they arise. So, Article 6. This article includes funding for town office staffing, stipends for the selectmen, moderator, and trustees of the trust funds. It also includes funds for assessing services, cemeteries, and the maintenance of town buildings. One of the largest changes in this portion of the budget is an increase in the legal line. With the loss of Kim's legal background within the office, we need to increase this line item to ensure the town has access to appropriate legal support when needed. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Bibi. Are there any questions regarding any of the items in Article 6? Yes, Woody. Yeah, someone else is waving their hands at me.
Thank you. I just wonder if there could be more information on general government buildings, which is up by $122,000.
Question on general government buildings. Who wants to take it? Sam, you there? Where are you? Here he is. Do you know the answer to the question that's been posed by Mr. Canaday? And we acknowledge the fact that Sam is not a New London resident, but he has special knowledge that's germane to the question. He's probably the only one of the few that knows the answer. So in such circumstances, if he's properly recognized by the moderator, he can speak. So if I may invite Sam to come to the mic, ma'am, and I'll take your question right after. Thank you.
Thank you for
general government buildings. What constitutes general government buildings?
That's the maintenance and repair of all town buildings, electricity, water bills, sewer bills, and all those things like that. But the increase is largely due to us needing to do more repairs to our municipal buildings, and there is an increase related to that along with electricity, water rates, and sewer rates.
Woody, does that answer your question? Yes. Okay, ma'am, please identify yourself. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
Hi, Marcy Vierson.
Thank
You mentioned that insurance had gone up, but it's down on here. Just wanted to question that.
This line here and for this insurance is our property insurance and all that kind of stuff. What I meant is health insurance throughout all of these budgets. It's included in the salary and benefits lines.
So this insurance is just the building insurance,
The
property insurance.
Primex and all that, yeah.
Got it. Further questions on Article 6 or any line item in it? Seeing none. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 6 as printed in the warrant signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The article passes. Article 7, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Donald Jones. Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
Article 7, Public Safety. There have been questions over the years about the Communications Department, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. It does, dispatch is a regional department. It serves not only New London, but also Sunapee, Newbury, Wilmot, and Sutton. These towns contribute to the cost of the Communications Department budget. New London currently pays 59% of the costs, with the other towns making up the remaining 41% based on their level of calls. We are planning to issue an RFP for review of the dispatch services. We had intended to do this last spring, but after town meeting last year, it was determined that the Public Works building was not structurally sound, and we had no cost information regarding removing the building. Dispatching services are critical to the safety and efficient delivery of public safety services, so no changes will be recommended without a thorough investigation of all aspects of the issue. The cost of the additional firefighter is not included in the fire department's line item in this article. If Article 13 passes, the salary, benefits, and retirement will be reflected in this line then moving forward. We ask that you pass Article 7.
Further questions or comments on Article 7? Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 7 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 8, what's your pleasure? Thank you. Second? Don, come on, second. Thank you. All right. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
Article 8 is funding for the Public Works Department, including highways, street lighting, transfer station, and the sewer department. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on any line item or the article in general? And as you know, we have the man here to answer those questions. Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 8 signify by raising your cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 9, what's your pleasure? Bingo. Thank you, Donald. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
This article is to fund the town's health and welfare needs, including the town's health officer and the welfare officer and the New London Hospital ambulance, and payments to the VNA, COA, and CASA. This article provides funds for the payments to vendors, such as landlords, phone company, electric company, to assist eligible applicants for assistance. Increased needs within our community have required an increase in the welfare vendor payments line. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you. Further questions or comments on Article 9? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 9 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 10, what's your pleasure? Moved and, thank you, Don, seconded. Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
Article 10, Recreation and Culture and Conservation. This article funds culture and recreation, which includes the Recreation Department, Tracy Library, the Conservation Commission, Energy and Housing Committees, archives, and annual payments to the 4 lake protective associations, which include Lake Sunapee, Little Lake Sunapee, Pleasant Lake, and Messer Pond. They pay for their host programs, and the money that we're giving them will be for that particular aspect of their budgets. The biggest change is to the Housing Commission, because the last few years they had grant funding, which decreased their annual budget for 2 years. They have used their grant. We ask that you approve Article 10.
Thank you, Janet. Now, I understand there's a gentleman in the rear that's trying to get my attention. If you can come to the center microphone.
We're all set.
He's all set. Great. Thank you. Further comments or questions on Article 10? We have 5 minutes left to vote on the warrant bond article number 3 if you have not already done so. In 5 minutes, the ballot boxes will be closed and we'll begin to tabulate those ballots. That's just kind of a public service announcement. Further questions or comments on Article 10? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 10, raise your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 11, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
This article funds the principal and interest payments of the town's debt. The $1 in tax anticipated notes is to ensure that that purpose has been funded, so that if the town should need to borrow money for a short term as it awaits the influx of tax payments, the selectmen will be able to do it. This does not generally happen in New London, but it is prudent to appropriate $1 just in case it ever does become necessary. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on the debt service article? Part of the reason we don't borrow money is because we bill taxes quarterly. It's a cash flow issue. All those in favor of Article 11 indicate by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Oh, I love it when they do this. Article 5, the results of the ballot vote on the games of chance. Yes, 236, no 33. The town of New London has effectively opted out of that activity. Thank you for your patience. Okay. Where are we? 12? Article 12, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
This article funds the town's various capital reserve accounts. Capital reserve funds are the town's savings accounts. Funds are placed in these capital reserve accounts for future purchases. The capital improvement program, completed by the planning board, is one mechanism for planning that the Selectmen and Budget Committee use to determine the level of funding needed. This budget seeks total payments in the amount of $909,000 for deposit into 11 funds and an additional $150,000 for the sewer department, which is funded by the sewer users. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 12? Seeing none, oops, you are... Never hesitate.
Marcy Vierson.
Thank you, Marcy.
Can you talk about the sidewalk repair? It's gone down, but our sidewalks are in really bad.
Yep, so Marcy, the current balance of that sidewalk project fund is $376,000. And Sam's got a plan that takes them out to about 2030. And so we decided this year we didn't need to put quite as much money into it because he's been spending it, he's spending it, he's fixing the sidewalks, he's got a plan. He just didn't need as large a deposit this year.
So question with that, is that a little bit of sidewalks are being done every year?
Yes.
So we're going to have to start over again when they're all done?
Probably. Likely.
Sam to answer that?
Yeah, if you
Sam,
want,
if you want to add some value here, you can. Linda has a microphone over there. There you go.
There'll always be work to be done on the sidewalks, but this current plan is just to address all of Main Street till 2030, 2031, and then after that, we're going to start tackling other areas in town. They're just a little bit too far out right now for us to decide where we're going to go, but we know that Main Street needs to be addressed first.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question, Marcy?
Yeah, I'm very much for safe sidewalks in towns, for the business community, for the older population that lives here, so this does concern me a little bit.
Sam, do you want to just say what you're going to be doing this year?
This year we have 2 sections to do. We're going to be doing from Siemens Road to the Colby-Sawyer exit loop, and then from Newport Road, like by Spring Ledge, all the way down to Peter Christians, or the SAU exit. So a large section, it's about 2,000 feet of sidewalk this year.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's why we're here, to get answers to questions we have about any of these warrant articles. This is our opportunity to get that. Okay, are we... Pardon? Done. Okay. The ballot boxes are now closed for Article 3, the bond warrant article. So at this point, I'm going to invite 2 of our ballot workers to come and remove this ballot box, and they'll gather up the other 2 and take them to the enclosed area, and they will be emptied, and the ballots will be tallied. And I will give you a report as soon as they have finished tallying them. Okay. We didn't vote on this yet, did we? No. Okay. All right. Article 12. Further questions on Article 12, or are we ready for the question? We're ready for the question. All those in favor of Article 12 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed, the ayes have it. The article passes. And now we come to the article everyone's been waiting for. And by convention, usually the one who is the proponent of the article would get to speak first. In this instance, the Budget Committee was in favor of this and the selectmen weren't, but if no one has any objections, we'll hear from the selectmen first and then we'll go directly to Steve, I believe it is. Steve, you wanted to speak to this, right? Steve Ensign? Yes, Steve Ensign will speak to it for this. And no one has any objection, this is your meeting. I mean, I'm trying to do it in the reverse order, but I'll only do it if you're okay with it. Okay. Sorry? Yeah. And so I need this to be moved on the floor. What is your pleasure with Article 13? So moved and seconded. Good. Okay. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
Okay. Article 13 asks voters to raise and appropriate $142,719 to fund an additional full-time firefighter position beginning July 1st, 2026, with future costs becoming part of the town's operating budget. Before explaining the board's position, I want to acknowledge the dedication and professionalism of the members of our fire department. Our firefighters provide an essential service to this community, and the board is deeply appreciative of the work they do every day to keep our residents safe. After careful consideration, the Board of Selectmen does not recommend this article at this time. I want to be clear, this decision should not be interpreted as a lack of support for our firefighters or for the important work that they do. The question before the town tonight is about timing and long-term planning, not about the value of the department or the service it provides. The department currently has 4 full-time firefighters, along with several per diem firefighters who help provide coverage. The board believes it is prudent to pause further expansion until we have a clearer understanding of the department's long-term needs. We're also approaching a significant leadership transition with the upcoming retirement of Chief Lyon. The board feels it is important to allow a new fire chief the opportunity to evaluate the department's staffing needs and operational demands and long-term needs in collaboration with the Board of Fire Wards before the town commits to a permanent increase in personnel and the ongoing financial obligation that comes with it. Like many rural communities, we are seeing changes in volunteer availability and regional service demands. These are complex challenges that deserve careful planning and thoughtful discussion. This pause should not be viewed as closing the door on this position. Rather, the board believes it is responsible to allow the next chief, working with the Board of Fire Wards, to review the department's needs and bring forward recommendations so the community can make a well-informed decision about staffing in the future. I know people in this room may have different perspectives on this article, and that's part of what makes town meeting valuable. I simply ask that we focus our comments on the issue before us and treat one another with the same respect we would expect in return. With that, I'll turn it back to the moderator to open the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Bibi. Okay, at this point, Chair recognizes Steve Ensign. Steve, you want to come to the center floor microphone?
Can I bring the microphone forward?
No, you can look at me. You have to speak to me, unfortunately. That's the rule. Sorry.
Okay.
But they'll all hear you. This PA is excellent.
We'll work on them all hearing me. And it's unusual for me to find myself not agreeing with the Board of Selectmen. The issue that's facing the fire department and the orderly delivery of emergency services is not new. Several years ago, the Board of Fire Wards, in consultation with the fire chief, recognized the decline in volunteer support and participation as individuals' lives became busier and more involved. While you noted that there are 4 individuals, we have to look at what their roles are versus the additions that we're making. So, a little over 4 years ago, we engaged the Board of Selectmen that existed then in a conversation about the needs and the best way to serve the town of New London by providing more dedicated services that would take the pressure off of the volunteers and the per diem individuals. Per diem individuals do not have to take time on duty, but we've been very fortunate that they have. But we have found ourselves with open weekends in which we would have to go to a general alarm and call everyone out. So taking that into consideration, the plan was developed and acknowledged by then existing Board of Selectmen to begin the process of bringing on 4 shift officers. These are individuals who would be working 24-hour shifts and residing at the firehouse overnight so that they would be immediately available when needed. They'd be fully credentialed and they would be EMT certified. So here we are. We are 2 years into that plan. We are about to ask to go to the 3rd year, and next year we would be back again. The plan was to do this orderly and thoughtfully, and the issues that have presented themselves to us, those that happened 3 or 4 years ago, have not diminished from the volunteer side. So we're here again. We're on plan. And the effort is, we, the Board of Fire Wards, to put forth and come forward with the 3rd phase of a 4th phase plan. Now, the Board of Fire Wards is something distinct and unique and exists in New Hampshire regulations under the RSAs. We are charged with overseeing and mentoring and working with the fire department. We are in between the selectmen and the fire department. So the fire chief reports to me and to the Board of Fire Wards. I prepare the fire chief's annual review and simply provide it to the town. The process going forward will not change, and the needs will not change. And I appreciate the position of the Board of Selectmen, but I can't agree with it. There is a need. We have seen it coming. It is not new, and it is not easily resolved except with the addition of these individuals. We are trying to prevent a much larger department needing to be retained by the town of New London. So we've thought, this is the process. It's been developed. We review it every year. With success, we have watched the 2 individuals that we've had come on, and we know that this will be beneficial to the town when fully completed. So, from the Fire Ward's perspective, we don't see kicking the can down the road, if you will, another year. In fact, we will be having, at some point, a new fire chief. At the present time, we have 2 in-house candidates that we will be reviewing and interviewing, both of whom endorse the plan. So simply by saying, we're going to have a new chief, let's see what happens, I can tell you it isn't going to be different. This is where we are. Now, $142,000 sounds like an astounding amount of money, and they noted that it's broken down between salary and benefits. So yesterday, I asked to meet with a finance officer and our town administrator. I said, what makes up $142,000? Well, they had to put in the maximum amount that would be allotted to this position, which in the grade level, the max would be roughly $80,000 salary, pay. The balance of $62,000 are benefits, which include, if it's a family plan, $36,000 of health insurance. Those are unavoidable additions to the basic pay that an individual will receive. Yes, it's a lot of money. And what does it boil down to for those of us that are residents and homeowners and pay taxes? So it comes in at something of less, just under 7 cents per thousand of your assessed value, which is on a $500,000 assessment comes to $2.75 a month.
So the amount that's being spent for the value that this town will receive is incalculable. When you call in the middle of the night for service, we go, we're there. But the question is, if we don't provide relief for our dedicated volunteers and call officers, then we run the risk of facing a much bigger problem with more full-time employees going forward, something that the Board of Fire Wards are desperately trying to avoid. So we look for your support, as we always have. It's interesting that the Board of Fire Wards is not responsible to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Fire Wards by statute is formed by the legislative body, and that's all of us out here, not those up there. So we need your support as a legislative body, as we have had in the past. And we look forward to moving forward. Hope that's not my phone going off. And I have enjoyed working with the Board of Fire Wards. There's 5 of us that are on the board. Bill Degnan, who's the former fire marshal for the state of New Hampshire. John Ryan, who's a former full-time firefighter that retired here out of Weston, Massachusetts. Pete Lordson, whose father was the fire chief when I joined the fire department many years ago. And Kate Turcott, who is a professor at Colby-Sawyer College, who's our community member. We're on staggered terms, 3-year terms, and quite honestly, if there's anyone here that has interest in serving on the Board of Fire Wards, please get a hold of me. I would love to have a conversation because just like my '69 Camaro, I'm beginning to show wear. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. And I see our fire chief in the back. I take it you'd like to speak to this article.
Mr. Moderator, thank you. Jason Lyon, Fire Chief. I did write something down because sometimes I get a little off track, so hopefully this will keep me in line. But you've just heard the Select Board's position of why not to support this critical full-time shift officer position, and I'd like to respectfully address these points. First, yes, the fire department does have 4 full-time employees. However, 2 of those positions, the fire chief and fire prevention captain, work Monday through Friday during the daytime hours when most of our call members are already working outside the town of New London. Due to the nature of these roles and their day-to-day responsibilities, it would not be practical to convert these 2 to 24-hour coverage without reducing their accessibility when they're most needed. The 2 officers work 24-hour shifts. Those positions exist specifically to reduce the burden of our on-call officers, which has been a business model that's worked extremely well for the past 27 years or so. These 2 are essential as we're increasingly struggling to fill vacancies on nights and weekends, and hence the request for Article 13 for that 3rd shift position to be filled. Second, regarding per diem staffing, only 1 per diem individual is available currently. We have 1 regularly scheduled per diem firefighter. While helpful, this position cannot provide consistent coverage due to outside commitments. In fact, one of our most reliable per diem officers has just recently accepted a full-time position in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, and will be losing him due to their residency requirements. That's the reality that we're facing. Third, the idea of waiting for a clear understanding of long-term needs. This work has already been accomplished. An in-depth analysis and master plan was submitted in August to both the Select Board and the Budget Committee that reviewed the department's history, on-call staffing, student live-in programs, response data, etc., and looked at communities contiguous to New London as well as compared us to communities of our size and call volume. It also highlighted a critical change, which is in 1987, we had 34 members of the New London Fire Department. In 1987, 34 of those individuals lived in the town of New London, and more importantly, 30 of those people worked in the town of New London. Today, we are down from 45 to 34 individuals. 16 live in the town of New London, so the majority of our membership lives outside the town of New London. And more importantly, only 4 people are available during the daytime hours, which include, 11 full-time, personnel are available during the daytime hours. 4 of those are full-time firefighters. We do have a couple of police officers that are also affiliated with our organization, and we have several retirees. This is not about the number of calls, it's about the availability of those that are able to respond and how quickly they get there. Fourth, regarding my pending retirement, national standards, including NFPA 1710 and 1720, make it clear that having personnel on duty is essential for providing adequate services. Delaying this decision does not solve the problem. In fact, it compounds it. This is not a new issue. We anticipated it, we developed a plan. Failing to implement this next step only leaves the incoming fire chief with the same, if not worse, staffing challenges on day one. And finally, I fully acknowledge that there are significant capital projects ahead of us in the town of New London. The DPW garage, the water precinct needs, the ongoing police department considerations, these are all difficult decisions, and I do not envy those responsible for making them. But failing to support this position, one that is part of a well-researched, well-documented plan, will have a direct and negative impact on the health and sustainability of your fire department. I'm not advocating this for me as I'm transitioning out. I'm advocating this for you, the residents, the visitors, and the future of this essential organization. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Jay. Next.
My name is Rob Daly. And Jay, before you go too far, I've got a question really for you. Could you speak to not the total roster, but what I would call active participants, who actually shows up and what effect that's having on response time to calls today?
So, as I had indicated before, we have 34 members of the department. Some of those individuals, fortunately, we have some retirees who are super active, those individuals in their 60s and 70s. We do have issues with staffing like any organization that's basically volunteer. Although our members are compensated on an hourly basis, the problem is that there's no leverage on our individuals. Sorry, Mr. Moderator, I should be addressing you. And therefore, I would say that we have an active force out of those 34 individuals of 5 to 10% of our members. The reason why it's important to have a large group of individuals, especially on a call and volunteer standpoint, is not everyone's available. So if you have a large group, we're hoping for any general alarm to turn out anywhere from 12 to 15 firefighters, and certainly in the vicinity of 20 to 25 for a building fire. So the issues that we are faced with is complications with family, there's more demand in services. The master plan that we developed looked at all of those criteria and looked at response rates, and certainly we've seen that drop not only in the town of New London, but in all the surrounding towns. And that's where I think that certainly the select board, we've chatted about this before as far as a regional service. What does that look like? How do you compensate? The town of Sunapee just hired their first full-time firefighter, fire chief. And I think that allotment was in the vicinity of $165,000. So these are all things that we've looked at. We certainly have seen a drop in participation. Again, we're down from 45 firefighters to 34.
Are we, I don't want to get too far afield from Article 13, which is the addition of a single full-time firefighter. So did that answer your question about, yeah? Okay. Next. I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off, but did you have another question or comment on Article 13, or a question for the chief with respect to his comments?
Okay. Mr. Moderator, my name is Lou Boda, and I serve the people of New London as an elected member of the Budget Committee. I'm also honored to serve as Emergency Management Director of the town.
Understood. I know that.
I wanted to make sure that you understand that the New London Fire Department is an inexorable road to a staffing disaster. We heard from Steve Ensign, we heard from the fire chief what the delay in the accession of this firefighter would create and exacerbate the problem, and the problem is not going to go away. What the citizens of New London also need to realize is that staffing is one of the major components of the fire rating that is assigned to each municipality in the United States. It's called an ISO rating. And I know, Mr. Anderson, who's also a member of the Budget Committee, stated that there was no statistics about it. Yes, there are.
Well, I think, if I may, I think the Budget Committee is in favor of this.
Yes,
A, and
but
B,
Mr. Anderson, as a member of the Select Board, voted against it. So I wanted to make sure that the people in New London understand that should we have an ISO rate increase, which means we're now up to a 5, and if we end up getting the system a little bit worse, we could end up saving $35, $40 in our yearly taxes, but we would end up with a $300 to $500 increase in our insurance rates. So this is not going to go away. By postponing it, we're just going to make it worse, and the problem, again, it's not going to go away. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who is next?
Bill Hickey. On page 20 of the annual report, it had just some statistics on the number of fire department calls. And it looks like in 2025 compared to 2021, it's a 25% increase, and it's increased every year. I think it's unreasonable to expect in the future we're going to need less staffing. For the amount of money that we're talking about, I'm personally in support of this article. Every time there's a call, the fire department is going to respond with the staff they have. And every time they do, they're risking their lives for us. And for the amount of money we could be saving in our taxes, I cannot personally support increasing the risk by minimizing their staffing. And I hope that the majority of my colleagues here, neighbors, agree with that.
Thank you. Peter Stanley.
Hi there. Peter Stanley, New London. I joined the fire department in 1977, and there were about 50 some odd calls in 1977. In 2025, there were over 1,000. And in this day and age, to expect volunteers to be able to meet that need is ridiculous. We've known this has been coming since the late 80s. We have been planning for it. We hired Jay in, 91? We actually made modifications to the firehouse to the fire station to add bunk rooms, locker room facilities for both men and women, and just to accommodate where we're going right now. The planning for this has been deep and long for a very long time. I don't think anybody here would expect that a police department would be manned by volunteers, or the highway crew who goes out and plows in the middle of the night, that would be volunteers. It's not reasonable in this day and age with 1,000 calls a year or more to think that this can be handled by volunteers. The truth of the matter is, we have planned, and we've planned hard for many, many years. And this is beginning to come to fruition now. We need full-time people, and we will eventually be an entirely full-time department, because you can't go out that many times and then maintain a career or a family or anything else. Please vote in favor.
Thank you, Peter. Further questions or comments on Article 13 that have not already been stated?
John Ryan, a resident on Lamson Lane. When my wife and I began looking for property back in 1987 as a place to eventually retire, we weren't just looking for a house, we were looking for a community that provided the services we felt were essential at the time. This town stood out as the only one in the area that truly met those expectations. The only full-time police department anywhere in the area, a well-equipped and organized fire department that was well-trained. I'm a retired fire captain from Western Massachusetts with 39 years of service. And like everyone in this room, I don't want to see my taxes increase. In fact, my taxes have more than doubled over the last few years, especially recently. I understand that concern, and I feel it too, but I also understand something else, the critical importance of emergency services. The New London Fire Department provides phenomenal service. They're there for us day and night without hesitation, taking care of this community when we need them most. If it means spending $2.75 more a month for the average homeowner to have a fire officer in that firehouse 24 hours a day, I sure am in favor of it. This is a critical need, and I urge you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, further comments or questions on 13, or are we ready for the question? Okay. So let me just say, before we launch into this, that I've received a petition signed by 5 registered voters requesting a paper ballot on this warrant article. So we're going to do another shoebox ballot vote on this article. And if you go to your book of ballots, you should see a lime green one. Letter D. This is the ballot I would like you to use for this vote. So as our shoeboxes approach, please take this moment to mark your ballot, fold it over, and get ready to deposit it into the shoeboxes. And permit me to announce the results of the bond article number 3. That was for the study on Pleasant Lake. $100,000. Yes, 258, no, 2. The measure passes. If you're ready, we can proceed with Article 14. If you'd rather we waited for a few minutes, we can do that too. Just until the ballots are retrieved, but not necessarily wait until they're counted, in the interest of keeping things moving. Article 14, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Jana Kidder.
Article 14, Fire Vehicle Replacement Capital Reserve Fund. This article seeks the withdrawal of $132,303 from the Fire Vehicle Replacement Capital Reserve Fund. This is the 5th payment on the new engine number 2 that was delivered to the town in January 2024. The balance in this fund will be $132,303, which is the amount of the last payment, which would happen next year at town meeting. So we ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 14? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 14 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 15, what's your pleasure? I'm waiting for a second. Second. Thank you, Rip. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
Article 15, this article seeks the withdrawal of $298,000 from the Town Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund for the items that have been listed above in the article. We ask that you folks approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 15? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 16, what's your pleasure? Moved by Don. Seconded? Second. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
This article seeks the withdrawal of $5,000 from the Records Management Capital Reserve Fund for continuing work on the Records Retention Plan. This will leave a balance of $28,796 in that account. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on 16? Ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Article 17. Moved? I'm sorry. Excuse me for a minute. Let's see. Now, where was I? Yeah. We have it moved. We have a second on 17, yes? Yep. Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
Sidewalk Installation Capital Reserve Fund. This article seeks the withdrawal of $200,000 from the Sidewalk Installation Capital Reserve Fund. If this appropriation is approved, the fund will have a balance of $226,057. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you. Further questions or comments on Article 17? Did I see a card in the back? No. All right. All those in favor of Article 17, raise your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 18, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
This article seeks the approval for the withdrawal of $50,000 from the Sewer Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. If this appropriation is approved, the fund will have a balance of $23,432. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on 18? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. And at this point, I think we will take a short recess for the purposes of eating candy. This is a tradition. We do this every year. Nancy Rollins' ear one year. Okay, we have a full complement of selectmen and we have our town clerk back. So we're ready to proceed with Article 19. What is your pleasure? Do we have a 19? Moved. Seconded. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
This article seeks the withdrawal of $60,000 for the purpose of the sewer pipe, slip line, and manhole rehabilitation from the Sewer Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. If this appropriation is approved, the fund will have a balance of $23,432. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on 19? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 20, what is your pleasure? Moved? Seconded? Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
Article 20. This article seeks to withdraw $23,000 from the Sewer Equipment Capital Reserve Fund for Jobs Creek valves and manholes, and to use the fund that was previously established for this purpose. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Janet. Further questions or comments on Article 20? Seeing none. Are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 20 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 21, what is your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
This article seeks the withdrawal of $85,000 from the Tracy Library Building Maintenance Capital Reserve Fund. If this appropriation is approved, the fund will have a balance of $174,238. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 21? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 22, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
This article seeks the withdrawal of $75,000 for the purchase of a skid steer from the Highway Equipment Capital Reserve Fund. If this appropriation is approved, the fund will have a balance of $1,137,404. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 22? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 22 passes. And I'm being handed a slip of paper which contains the results of the paper secret ballot vote on Article 13. Yes to new firefighter, 239. No, 29. Congratulations. We have another full-time fireman. For the clerk. We are on 22, yeah? 22?
23.
23. Thank you. That one passed. I forgot to write that down. Thank you. Article 23, what's your pleasure? Second? Second. Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
Article 23, Recreation Facilities Capital Reserve Fund. This article seeks the withdrawal of $16,000 from the Recreation Facilities Capital Reserve Fund. Last fall, the Public Works Department removed the recreation equipment, stabilized the area to prevent runoff, and installed some of the recreation equipment at Elkins Beach. Further work will be done, and there will be work done at Buckland Beach. This effort was coordinated by our Recreation Director, Putnam Kidder, Public Works Director, Sam Clark, and our Planning Coordinator, Adam Ricker. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 23? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 23 carries. And this is the one with no header. Article 24. What is your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
The Board of Selectmen recommends this article, which would establish a capital reserve fund for the repair and maintenance of the new London Town Clock and appropriate an initial deposit of $1,000. The town clock was installed in 1884 and was a gift to the town from Civil War veterans and local merchants, General Luther McCutcheons and Mark Nelson. At that time, personal timepieces were uncommon, and the clock served as an important timekeeper for the entire village. The clock faces were mounted in the steeple of the Baptist Meeting House on Colby Hill and struck the hour on the historic Revere Bell. Although the clock is located in the Baptist Church Tower, the clock itself is owned by the town of New London. Historically, the town has taken responsibility for maintaining and repairing the clock mechanism, while the church maintains the structure that houses it. This year, the New London Baptist Church is celebrating its 200th anniversary, and the town clock recently underwent refurbishment to keep it running properly. Those restoration funds were raised privately, which we very much appreciate. Establishing this capital reserve fund will allow the town to begin setting aside small amounts over time so that when the clock needs its next major refurbishment, estimated to be roughly 30 years from now, we will be better prepared. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 24? Seeing none, you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 24 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 24 passes. Article 25, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
The Board of Selectmen recommends this article, which would establish a capital reserve fund for a future police and communications facility and appropriate $100,000 to begin that fund. The need for a new police facility has been discussed in New London for nearly 20 years, as the current building no longer meets modern space, evidence storage, and communication needs. This article does not authorize construction of a new building. Rather, it allows the town to begin setting aside funds gradually while work continues to identify a suitable location and develop a proposal. Our goal is to continue that work over the coming year, and if possible, bring a more detailed proposal to voters at next year's town meeting. Establishing this fund now is simply a prudent way to begin preparing for a project that the community has been discussing for many years. This article simply allows the town to begin setting aside funds while planning continues. Any decision about building a new facility will come back to voters at a future town meeting. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Bibi. I see a gentleman approaching the microphone. Would you care to address Article 25? If so, please state your name.
My name is Philip Sherman. I'm a resident of New London.
Thank you.
I speak in opposition to this warrant article for the following reasons. The taxpayers have failed to approve forward movement on a new police station at a new location 2 and in reality 3 times since 2018. How many more times will it take for folks to realize that there's no consensus on this project? Previous designs appear to have been based on a wish list rather than a vetted review of needs. For instance, as you heard before, the study on the dispatch center is yet to be done. Significant other financial unknowns face the town, again, as you've heard some of them before, the cost of replacing the now demolished DPW building, the unknowns on the municipal water issues, massive dollars on the schools, and that's before we get to the fire department. Further, giving the select board blanket access to another $100,000 on top of almost $200,000 spent to date on police station studies seems highly inappropriate without any kind of a consensus. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions or comments on this Article 25? Excuse me. Got it. No, seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed. Chair's in doubt. All right. So what we're going to do here, I need my ballot clerks to assume their positions in the sectors that we talked about before. And as soon as those folks are properly in position, they're going to give me the thumbs up, and I'm going to ask for a vote again, and I'm going to ask you to hold your cards aloft until they can be counted by a representative assigned to the sector in which you're seated. And when they give me the sign that they've counted them, we'll ask for the nays, and they will do the same, and they will tabulate the votes and deliver them to me. Are we clear? All right, so we're going to vote on Article 25. Are you guys all ready? Pardon? Yes. Which of you assigned to count the sectors is counting the head table? Thank you. Are we all ready? I need a thumbs up. Where are you guys? Got it. Got it. Okay. All those in favor of Article 25 signify by raising and holding aloft your orange cards, please, until directed to put them down. You guys all ready? All set. Okay, put them down. Now, you guys got tabulated those results? All right. All those opposed to Article 25 signify by raising and holding aloft your orange cards. Okay, you may lower your cards. Now give us a minute to tabulate those results, and we will have a result on 25. If you want, we can move ahead to 26 while we're waiting. Is that acceptable? Okay. Article 26, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
Article 26. This vote asks whether the town should take up to $7,000 from the proceeds of a timber wildlife habitat harvest on certain conservation lands and put it into the conservation fund. Any remaining money from the timber harvest would go into the town's general fund. No new taxes or borrowing are involved. And I should say that when there is a timber harvest on any of the conservation funds, it has been overseen by our Conservation Commission. So it is a worthwhile ask that they be given some of this money. I ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Janet. Further questions or comments on Article 26? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? Oh, wait, someone is pointing yes. Someone is coming forward. I'm sorry, I don't recognize you. My mistake, I can't see.
Yeah, I'm Mike Gellichus. I'm the vice chair.
Oh, Mike, right, of course, thank you.
The Conservation Commission. I just want to say that we recognize the fact that we do have money that's given to the Conservation Commission in the budget already. However, we have a lot of projects that we work on, and quite often the funds that we have are stretched to the limit. So I hope that you'll support us in this endeavor to get that $7,000 into our fund. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Further questions or comments on 26? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 26 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 26 passes. We're going to move on to 27 because we're still waiting for the count. 27, what's your pleasure? Moved, seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
This vote asks whether the town should increase the property tax credit for veterans with service-connected total disabilities from $2,000 to $2,500, starting with the 2026 tax year. This is a state mandate. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Rich. Further questions or comments on Article 27? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor signify by raising your orange cards. All opposed? The ayes have it. 27 passes. Article 28, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes B.B. Casey.
This article would reauthorize funding for the Archives Committee to purchase historical items and other ephemera. Thank you. Relevant to the history of New London. This funding had previously been approved but expired on June 30th, 2024 before it was fully used. If approved again, the appropriation would be non-lapsing, meaning the funds would remain available until June 30th, 2032, rather than expiring at the end of the fiscal year. This allows the Archives Committee the flexibility to purchase items as they become available, since opportunities to acquire historically significant materials often arise unexpectedly. We ask that you approve this article.
Further questions or comments on Article 28? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 28 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Article 28 passes. Before we launch on 29, we might as well read you the Article 25 result. Recall that was the Capital Reserve Fund for the police station. Yes, 118. No, 84. Article 25 passes. Article 29, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Janet Kidder.
This would grant a permanent conservation easement on about 55 acres of town land next to the Esther Currier Wildlife Management Area. The easement will be held by the New Hampshire Fish and Game Department to ensure the land is protected from development forever. We ask that you approve this article, but before we do, I'd like to hear from Mark Vernon and have him talk a little bit about the amount of land that's been conserved next to the Esther Currier Wildlife Management Area.
Chair recognizes Mark Vernon.
Thank you. I'm happy to, although Mike Gelsius is our vice chair and also the steward of Esther Courier
All right.
Low Plains, so.
Oh, you want Mike to answer
I
it?
do.
That's fine.
If he doesn't mind.
I think it would be nice to know how much land has been preserved there over the years. Mark Brennan.
Hi, Mike Elches, Vice Chair. We have, initially, we had 200 acres, I shouldn't say initially, but prior to this particular piece of property, or two pieces of property actually being added, we had 200 acres. This additional 55 acres is property that's on the northeastern side. This is property that is very critical to the Pleasant Lake watershed. Waters go right through that property and deposit right into Pleasant Lake. So it's a very key area for conservation. I also want to mention the fact that adding this 55 acres will not cost anything to the town. And I think it's a very worthwhile project, so we ask for your support. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you, Mike. Further questions or comments on Article 29? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 29 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? 29 passes. Article 30, what's your pleasure? Moved and seconded. Chair recognizes Rich Anderson.
This vote asks whether the town will allow the Select Board to accept private donations, gifts, or bequests for town purposes without needing a separate town vote each time. These funds would be kept separate from other town funds and managed like a trust under RSA 31:19. This authorization would last indefinitely and requires a majority vote to pass. We ask that you approve this article.
Thank you, Rich. And if I may, I have a note here below this article that states that if the town does receive funds under this warrant article in the future, there does need to be a public hearing on the receipt of those funds. So there will be public notice about that. So any further questions on Article 30? Questions or comments? Seeing none, are you ready for the question? All those in favor of Article 30 signify by raising your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. The motion, the warrant article carries. Which brings us to the final Article 31, which is a little catch-all. To hear the reports of agents, auditors, and committees heretofore chosen. The chair is unaware of any said committees that need a report. So I don't think there's anything to vote on for this thing, and the only thing left is a motion to dissolve this meeting or adjourn or end this meeting. Moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your orange cards. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you all very much for being here and participating. It was a pleasure having you here. I did not read my quote, my Mark Twain quote. I didn't read my Mark Twain. No.